Okay, so there's an example. That's from the Multiforce comic, which is available right now. It's this gigantic comic reprint of these mini comics and serialized comics and whatever the local RISD Rhode Island book magazine. Yeah, so that's kind of the Matt Brinkman.
I think the bad news is that I think the Phantasmagoria has closed.
Yes.
So the other artist who can't be here today is Zach Smith. Zach has also contributed a video. He has a blog called Dungeons Dragons with Porn Stars, and he does an actual play video for The Escapist called I Hit It With My Axe. The footage of people playing D&D is going to be also part of the thing we're about to see of his. And Zach's piece is interesting because it both has his own work sort of interspersed to illustrate what he's talking about, and it represents kind of the next stage of becoming involved with D&D. That you know, a great many people buy the books and look at pieces like Jim Holowitz and think about, wouldn't it be cool to play this game? Some people actually graduate to getting together and making it happen with their friends. And so if you've never played the game before, Zach's video will give you a little sense of what it is that this world is, and later we'll get to how that relates to the work people do.
If you've ever played Dungeons & Dragons, it's like there's sort of two sides to it. There's this world full of monsters and labyrinths and traps and cities and everything else, but it's all sort of planned and rationalized and put together with math, and there's rules and sub-rules, and you can make your own rules in addition to what's there. But then the other side of it is that you have your friends, and they come and they play, and they just kind of run roughshod over the whole construction.
So it's balls to his thighs.
And so, you know, they get into these little roles like, oh, I'm a dwarf and I'm an elf and whatever, but their personality comes through. So it's like an examination of their personality. And, you know, whatever your friends are like, they're probably not like, you know, 12th century adventurers.
Because we know what the dark blue mushroom does now. It makes you the customer for sure, but the red one now makes you speak the true language.
And you can still communicate with us.
Exactly.
So to the people you might be stimulated and underpressed. That's true.
Is it ever like they like depressed, be free?
Yeah. I think I'll say the class.
You know, the people that I know and who I make art about in LA, my friends are, you know, mostly strippers and porn actresses. So, you know, that's who I play D&D with. But, you know, there's this great contrast between people's personalities and the roles that they're supposed to be playing, and this rational world that everything's supposed to fit into, and the sort of irrational, expressionistic universe of, you know, from the inside of somebody's head.
What season of Rome is he?
I just want to hire some mercenaries.
Why are you covered in bloodshed?
That's why I want some mercenaries.
And so I think you can see both the sides of what I'm interested in my work. You know, there's a world and everything kind of makes sense in that world or has a place. And then there's these sort of people who come in there like, and they just make everything go haywire, but I'm interested in examining them both. I think that it should also probably be said that most of the artists who make work that has, you know, that are here tonight probably grew up in the 80s. And the thing about the 80s from art perspective is it was the absolute nadir of art, the worst art that was ever made. And that was most popular in fine arts. And so I think people who were interested in visual culture were looking elsewhere at that time. You know, they're looking at comic books or TV or something else, and D&D was definitely one of those things where there was a whole different visual culture besides, you know, people just making their bold statement about how they didn't like Ronald Reagan into little stupid English painting with some text underneath it. So, yeah, there's that. And I think that, you know, much in the way that, like, in the turn of the last century, the people image of Piero, the opera clown. So there's like all kinds of art about him. People of our generation grew up with this sort of series of rock and roll symbols, and D&D is definitely one of those things, or it was interesting in some way it was interested in the way art is interesting. So I think that's why people make art about it still.
So I realized that when I was introducing Zach, at least virtually, I gave all of his gamer cred. His art world cred, he has a show, I think that's still open, at Frederick Freiser called The Show About Nothing. He's an interesting, one of the things that he recommended that we'll talk about later is the distinction between people like Jim Holloway who do commercial illustration and people who do contemporary art, who are sort of like, I'm going to draw the things that I want to do. Zach did a project called A Picture of Showing What Happens on Every Page of Gravity's Rainbow, where he voluntarily sat down and illustrated Gravity's Rainbow, chose to work within the limitations of the text, but did so sort of with the freedom that working in contemporary art gives you to just be like, I'm going to draw the way that I want to. Are there other things that we want to say about Zach? Awesome. Let us now go to the artists who are actually here. You guys can come up and I will steal your seat. So I will do my job as moderator by reminding you that this is Casey Jack Smith. You've seen his work as you enter the gallery on the left-hand side. These are his character sheets. These are his images of things that came up in actual play, and he's going to be showing you more of them soon. Casey organized the Doomslangers exhibit, which Tim and Ryan participated in as well, and that's where you are now.
Cool. Thanks, Dallas. What does that mean? Okay, we're fine. All right. So I want to go back a little bit into my history. Like Dallas said, a lot of my...
Yeah. You might want to sit down.
Yeah, sorry. I'll sit down. Yeah, thank you for telling me. Yeah, so most of that wall back there, those are all my drawings, and then we've got an installation downstairs, so please go down and take a look at that afterwards. That's where we play Dungeons & Dragons. We've been playing this group in here for this show. We played D&D online through video chat for about 5 months, and then when we just had the opening for the show, we all came out to New York and we sat down at the table downstairs and finished off kind of the last adventure. And the very end bad guy was this guy here, Lord Rickcake. And for the opening of the show, we beat him down, where Tavis's son really beat him down. So you can kind of see some of the aftermath. We had to clean up some of it because there was a lot of food and spaghetti meatballs and stuff. We couldn't clean it up. We left the corn syrup blood. So this is going back in my history a little bit, how I came to D&D. First, I'm a Mormon. I'm from Utah. And if you grow up in that culture, there's an artist that you get to know. His name is Arnold Freeberg, and he was commissioned. He was an illustrator living in Salt Lake City, and he was commissioned to illustrate the Book of Mormon. And he did these fantastic paintings. So this is some of the first art that was interesting to me, and I'll show you some of these images, and then show you some of these D&D images, and how they start to come together. So here's some of Arnold Freeberg's images. These are very much in the vein of kind of Old Testament type prophets.